Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're gonna be talking about a horror movie. Because it's Halloween, and the horror movie we're gonna be talking about is the Taking of Deborah Logan. I completely blanked on the name of the movie for a sec there. Which is a
It is a
2013
bit
horror
of
film, I think. Yeah,
uh yeah, 2014 it looks like. Probably
14.
one of
Yeah,
those like made around 1 year, like film festivals and the like.
yeah. Found footage film about Alzheimer's, I guess.
Yeah, and weird. I find the title a little weird, The Taking of Deborah Logan. It should have been about like the kid that she takes, but I don't know.
No, but I mean, okay, spoilers ahead.
Well,
But she is taken as like her mind is taken. The guy takes over her body, so it is the taking of
yeah,
Deborah Logan. So yeah,
it's possession of it's yeah, that's more so what it refers to.
yeah,
Um so what did you Sky, automatically I'm like The Exorcist. It's very derivative of The Exorcist, and obviously Paranormal Activity. Like the cameras, like there's just CC like footage of like the bed and the
hmm
stairwell. It's like that's what they were doing in Paranormal Activity. Like there's objects thrown. It felt very by the numbers and of its time. Like
yeah,
sometimes you watch a found footage movie, it's just like, yeah, this was made in the found footage
yeah. It was
era
right
of
after
horror.
Blair Witch Project, so yeah, it's I don't know. When I first watched this movie a few years ago with a friend of mine, I loved it a lot. And I remember it being like extremely scary. I didn't remember why it was scary, but I had this image in my mind of like the of Deborah Logan herself, like later on
Snake
in the
thing.
film, that was like terrifying. And I will say I was scared, which is rare for me for horror movies to scare me. Like the visuals, especially when she's fucking swallowing the kid. That shit like creeped me the fuck out.
It's I'd seen that before, but like that was pretty eerie stuff. And
Yeah.
how quietly they play it, it's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, because like the characters are just like not being able to see anything properly and having to fucking shoot the gun. That scene. I love that entire sequence in the cave. I thought that was really cool. But I did not find the movie as good as I did when I first watched it. I thought it was fine. It is a fine enough movie, like talking about Alzheimer's and just uh, it's very interesting that Deborah Logan, like saved uh like a kid when she was younger, and now like that haunts her when she gets Alzheimer's, and like she gets possessed because of that. Like there's a lot of interesting things that are said in this movie about like well Alzheimer's and just in general the whole um like aging thing. Like a lot of horror movies they explore aging, like the substance or whatever. And they have the creepy old lady thing, and I think it's interesting. I just don't think it's like anything too unique. It's fine. But I did enjoy it overall. So
Yeah, it's you have some things they have to say about Alzheimer's, and they try to make this more than just like spooky old lady,
yeah,
possessed and the like. It's supposed to be more, but part of the frustration for me was the because you mentioned this with The Exorcist that like they're trying to look for proof of possession to the church, and it's like just look at her. Like she's basically rotting, and it's kind of the same for this. Like we haven't seen this with Alzheimer's. Like no, you haven't seen people pull pieces of their throat out for Alzheimer's. It's like what
well, but it's the kind
it
of thing where it's like it is possible, isn't it? Like just pulling your throat out.
yeah.
It is. I think it is more believable than the same point for about The Exorcist, because they do like make The
Yeah,
Exorcist be like the look in that movie for the girl is very exaggerated. In this, there's nothing like clearly visually wrong. There's just a bunch of off-putting things, like when she fucking teleports. I think that scene is so interesting because it's like she teleported up a counter, and it could just be seen as the footage skipping a few frames, even though the footage says it didn't skip any frames. It's like, okay, it's just an
yeah.
error or something. Like that is the type of thing that I find really cool, like getting the doubt in the audience instead of like trying to do like a thing of like, oh, there's something that's so obvious and nobody's gonna believe them, because the obvious things aren't really like obvious in this movie, you know? Like when she fucking digging the hole and everything, like people think it's just she's losing her mind, and that's, you know, like
She
her.
gardens. It's just
Yeah,
what she does. Yeah, digging.
exactly. So I
You know.
think there's like a lot of interesting things there, and about like the way people see Alzheimer's, uh, people with Alzheimer's as this like monster thing that you know, like lose all sense of self and just try to cling on to like their the few memories they still have. Like I don't know, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but something else that I found kind of frustrating about how a lot of that is presented is the characters themselves. Like you were saying with the teleporting, it's that the characters break it down, and the way they break it down, I think it makes it less scary than if a character had just seen that and not made that much of a thing of it. This is like kind of ties into the found footage, like semi found footage presentation and the characters themselves. They're kind of annoying and they drop a lot of expository dialogue, and I found it really hard to connect to any of them, to care about any of them, because in The Exorcist, like you're meant to care about the people that are in the house
Oh yeah.
rather than focus on Reagan. But in this, it seemed like it was mostly Deborah and Sarah, which I thought the performances of the two actresses were like the best part of this movie.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
off
the
the
lack of character in this movie is a big part of why I was like a little meh on it. Um, Interestingly, the same thing could be said about the last movie I watched as well, just him. But it's just like it is a,
oh
yeah, it's an interesting concept, but it's like I don't know, because it's different when you look at something like Blair Witch Project, which is just like so so well done in terms of like a found footage film where you know you get to actually care about the characters. This felt very like the Sarah and Deborah relationship was good, and I appreciated what they did with that. But it's like so much of the movie is spent with people who are basically not characters. Like even the fucking cameraman, like we don't see him until halfway through the movie, and he has like almost no lines, and then we see him finally, and then he just hands off the camera to the girl, the director of the documentary. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It feels a little
it's so
shallow with the other character, with the side characters at least.
and a bunch of them also, I found a lot of their reactions unbelievable, or they would just the general walking around and stumbling in the dark, like with one light. It's like and talking over each other, like it legitimately reminded me of Uncut Gems. Some of the dialogue and interrupting, where I'm like, guys. Can you just calm down or get more flashlights or be smarter? I was just I found it hard to accept.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just they needed a way to justify why they would film the whole thing. It's a classic trope in these types of
Yeah.
movies. I don't know if you've seen Wreck, the Spanish found footage
Not
horror film.
yet. In fact, I found the moment where they use like night vision on the camera that like felt a little bit REC. I've meant to watch that movie. I've heard it's one of the better
It is,
found like found footage
it's very
film
good. I
ones.
really like it. Yeah, that might be one I recommend at some point. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, it's it's they just needed a way to justify using the camera, so it's like, oh, the camera is a light source, you know, like nobody, not a single one of them has like a smartphone or something. It was like 2014,
Yeah,
you'd
it's
assume, but you know, it's whatever.
even still like I guess they just don't keep enough flashlights, even though like none of that like lights in the house work, but they only have just a couple of torches and they're kind of shit. It's just like I spooky lights, it's the way it works in
Yeah,
these types of
horror
movies.
trope. It didn't bother me too much, but yeah, I was thinking about it earlier today about like why the fuck were they filming in the cave? It was like, well, they needed the night vision. They needed the flashlight. It's like, oh, yeah, that is why. It's just horror movie trope that I find funny. Um and it is, to be fair, I don't know. I was thinking like if you were to make this movie today, like what camera you'd probably use your like iPhone camera or something, and you could use it as like a flashlight, you know. So it's like, but at this point you just use a normal flashlight. So I don't know how you could make a found footage like this in like 2025. That could be interesting.
Yeah, maybe they might have better technology. I don't like it, but the Blair Witch Legacy sequel that they made tried to do that. They had like drones and a couple of other clever like camera. It wasn't just a camcorder, like making a documentary for their school. Like there was a little bit more to it.
Uh,
And it's funny. I've seen a couple of people that are pushing for a resurgence in the found
found
footage genre
footage.
because it has kind of died out.
Yeah.
It got way oversaturated
Yeah.
and then it kind of died out. But found footage, it has legs. You could make a really
Well,
good found footage movie.
it
There
is
are some out
interesting because found footage in itself is like a product of its time, of like when people had
there.
camcorders,
Yeah.
people had these digital cameras from the early
Well,
2000s to the early
and
2010s at the latest.
videos themselves were also kind of new because camcorders, like you were saying, 1999. That was when the Blair Witch Project came out. So there was there was a little bit more of a sense of tangibility to it, and like maybe this really is real. They pushed the Blair Witch Project hard when it came out.
Yeah.
They were genuinely like the main actress, from what I understand, got like sympathy letters, or like her mom did, because they thought she'd actually died. It's like, no. But and
Yeah.
I
I mean,
Paranormal
the
Activity, I
way that
still
movie was advertised was hilarious because they kept trying to make it out to be like a real story that was unscripted. Like it was just like this actually happened. It's crazy.
yeah, and 2008, I believe, was when the first Paranormal Activity came out. I still haven't seen that, but again, slightly better cameras and the truth of it. Like, why did Paranormal Activity kick off? That first movie, from what I understand, was like $6,000 to make, and
Mm.
it made millions. And it's just it's the Jason Blum method of just
Yeah.
using like making movies for
It's
cheap.
very
But
cheap,
that's
so
good.
you basically guaranteed a profit.
Yeah, well, and that's why there were so many bad found footage movies, because
Yeah.
people just copied the worst or cheapest aspects. And this movie has parts of that, especially with some of the jump scares. Like, you see them coming from a mile away, but it's the way these movies are. But in terms of found footage that I've seen, this is pretty decent. It's
Hmm.
just it still doesn't do much to innovate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like discount Exorcist and decent performances and the like, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. It's fine. It's completely fine movie. I did I don't remember why I was like so taken aback by it when I watched it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." You know, it is funny, and I do like revisiting films that I haven't seen in a few years. And I saw a tweet recently that was like, one of the worst things that can happen to a cinephile is rewatching a movie you loved and it's lost its magic, which is funny. But I saw someone quote tweeting it being like, no, but that just shows how much you've changed. That's not like a bad thing. You know, like it can be good to just like there's not magic in this film anymore, but you know, others do. You know, so there is something interesting to be said about revisiting films and just like getting a new perspective years apart. And I don't know. It is an interesting film. I would recommend it. I think. I think it's worth watching. It's also not long. It's like 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I would not recommend it, and it's not even one of those like vitriolic things. It's just that I think there's better found footage to check out. It's it's one of those. It's like probably it's relatively entertaining if you watch it with some friends, but I
Yeah.
did find it a little bland. So yeah.
That, to be fair, that is one thing I watched it with a friend, so that's probably why I enjoyed it more. So yeah. Um yeah, all right. With that said, Evan, it is your turn to recommend something.
Yes, it is. I am going with, you were mentioning that this movie was like one of the scariest movies that you'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And I was curious to check out one that like a horror film that genuinely is terrifying, and I'm going with a movie from a director named Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Mm.
There's a scene that I've seen from one of his movies out of context, which is a really scary depiction of a ghost. It's a little hard to describe, but the way that it's presented is freaky. And I've heard that his movie Cure, which is a detective horror movie, is really good and kind of started a new wave of Japanese horror. So I'm going with Cure. Have you heard
Pure.
of that movie?
Don't think so. From 97,
I
right?
Yep. I know precious little of it. I haven't spoiled things. But that's what I understand. Like it's a detective story and there are unexplained murders where people are turning themselves in. And apparently there's a supernatural edge. That's all I really know. And I've heard it's scary as hell. So
Fun.
Cure.
Okay. 97 Japanese horror. Has an amazing rating on Letterboxd. Okay. Hell yeah. Okay, Cure.
Yeah, this
That's fun. There was a list recently that Letterboxd made, and they sent a notification out being like, the like 20 Japanese horror films to watch, and that was on that list. So I was vaguely, that was the only thing I knew. I added it to my watch list, but I didn't know anything about it. So it's gonna be interesting to watch that. I think the only
yeah.
Japanese horror film I've seen is the Ring. So,
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. I want to watch more Japanese horror of that because I've heard that they're a really unique. I mean, The Ring is a very unique
it
supernatural horror.
is.
They like have a different like depiction of ghosts in Japanese culture. So the what generates horror in that country is different. And I'm like I said about that scene from that I've seen from the director, if that's the kind of thing that he does, then I think the movie will be really spooky because I that scene was so bloody unsettling, and I'm curious how he's gonna use supernatural horror.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it then, folks. We'll catch you next week for The Cure, Japanese horror, and probably ending off our Halloween. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. See you later, folks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.